You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/day to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/day for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Okay. Can you start a podcast with me, please? I need something to do.
Pastrnak sent it out in front of Malkin to save. They score! Elias Lindholm looks to the heavens.
Here's a chance. Potter right in and goalie scores. Oh my, what a move by the rookie.
2-on-1. Pastrnak moving in with Marchand. Get it to it. Score!
The zone. Hoyle dances in. Backhand score!
Lindholm right wing corner. Pastrnak is there. He scores! David Pastrnak wins it for Boston.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Bruins Tape to Tape. I am your host this evening, Caroline, and I am joined by my fantastic co-host, the newly retired and very tan Maria of Watertown. Hey, Maria.
Hey, ladies, how is everyone tonight?
I'm doing really good. I'm doing good. It's early July, so we have what? August, September. We are still very far away. It seems from the start
away. In more ways than one, we are far away.
We are so far away from the start of the season. But it being July, we have brought in our favorite development young player expert for the pod, Maribeth. She is joining us today to talk about her week at development camp, which was apparently a fantastic time. And we are all going to have to just go and have a gigantic contingent next season. But welcome in, Maribeth. So excited to have you.
Thanks so much. I'm really happy to be here. As you know, this is one of my favorite times of the year.
I know. Well, you know, Maria and I, we get deep in the weeds with the team as it exists in Boston in the day-to-day, especially all the regulars. And I know for myself, I'll speak for myself, that I do not pay nearly enough attention to these young up-and-comers. Not just because, you know, there's always so much going on in Boston, but a lot of the young people in the last couple of seasons really, not that they haven't been good, but, you know, we haven't had so many draft picks and we haven't had so many high draft picks. And I feel like there was a lot of buzz this season or this summer around development camp because we're seeing for the second time Dean Letourneau, who was our kind of quote unquote big draft pick from last year, who spent his first year away at college. We had the 7th overall pick this year. He got his butt to Boston from LA immediately, you know, and I heard really fantastic things. So I'm actually super excited to hear about these young guys because we've clearly had a lack of young talent waiting in the wings, and you got a front row seat.
I sure did. And boy, it was a fun week. So I can't wait to share everything about it. Some of the guys that really impressed me, some of the fun things we saw. And next year, everybody put it on your calendar. We'll have a big party there for the week.
100%.
All right, Bruins fans, if you're thinking about picking up some new gear, now's the time. I'm already planning to grab a fresh Pastrnak jersey this fall. Who knows? Maybe he's rocking a new letter on the front. The NHL shop is running tons of season-ending and summer sales right now, including 20% off Fanatics gear. And here's the best part. When you shop through our link in the show notes, a portion of your purchases helps support this podcast. Same gear you'd find at the pro shop, but with way better perks. So stock up, save big, and help keep Bruins Tape to Tape rolling all year long.
Hey Bruins fans, love the pod? Well, here's an opportunity to join the team. Become a friend of the pod on Patreon and unlock more Bruins content, merch perks, and the community we've built with diehard fans like you. For just $3 a month, join Gallery of the Gods. Get ad-free episodes, sticker swag, and a discount in the merch shop. Or go full legend with the Black and Gold tier. Bonus content, virtual watch parties, more swag, and full access to our Substack. No matter the tier, you're in the room with us. Tap the link in the show notes and take your spot on the bench.
This of all years with what the Bruins are doing right now, which is basically a rebuild, it's even more important that we do pay attention, because I will be totally honest, full disclosure, I have paid absolutely no attention to these development camps in the past. And now is the time that we do need to focus more on that, because, clearly the Bruins are moving in an alternative direction. I'm not quite sure that they have made a determination yet what that direction is, but that's a story for a different podcast. But at some point in time, it is necessary to focus on your young players, because they are going to be a part of the future of the team. So, we need to know what that is going to potentially look like and who is going to be at the forefront of that new player development.
Yeah, exactly. I think hopefully at the end of our conversation today, maybe we will get a sense of how long is it going to potentially take to see some of this, draft effort actually come to fruition, because, with the exception of maybe the first and second overall pick, and obviously depending on the team, most NHL teams don't actually get to use their first round pick right away. It's not a super common thing. So, why don't we start out first, Maribeth? Give us the rundown. What is development camp? Who's invited? Why is this a thing? Every team seems to have this event literally 48 hours after the draft. All I know is it can be not all the draft picks, but certainly some of the team's top draft picks get invited immediately. There are other random guys. I don't know who some of them are. What is it? How do you get invited? Who's there? Why are they there? Give us the rundown.
Sure. So development camp is essentially a summer program held by all of the NHL teams. It's their newly drafted and their signed prospects, but they also have some space and they invite some other players. So there's some that are there just by invitation, and it's usually somebody that the team wants to have an eye on. Most of the guys that we had invited had a connection from a college or something. So you could see, oh, okay, they were at school with such and such. That's probably how they got noticed by our scouting staff. So at development camp, the team gets to know the players, but the players also get to know the team, the culture, the training methods, and the coaching staff. The focus is on their skills, nutrition, training, sports psychology, and essentially the staff helps them to map out what their development plan is. So it's basically hockey school, but on steroids.
Yeah.
Well, not really, because that would be illegal.
Yeah. So can somebody be at, let's say, a Bruins camp, dev camp this year, and next year at another team's camp? Or does it tend to be players who are like really Like the Bruins have called dibs on them if they haven't already formally, drafted them or whatever.
So it's the people who are invited, they're usually draft picks and signed prospects. So in that case, when we look at James Hagens,
right?
Well, we drafted him. He's not going to show up at the Avalanche next year because we've signed him. But we have a couple of other invites who, if we are not inviting them, they could be invited by another team for sure. Because it's the draft picks, the prospects, but it's also undrafted free agents. So they can kind of do what they want. Now, I don't know exactly how the invitation process works behind the scenes.
Sure.
But I am guessing that these are people who have been in conversation with the Bruins, the scouts or somebody from the staff. They've been having a little bit of back and forth. And that's how they're, okay, why don't you come to camp and show us what you have? Yeah. Now, it could be after a camp, the staff is like, we don't feel like you're a fit. Or the prospect themselves could be like, you know what? I've gotten to know you and you're not feeling like a great fit for me. So I think that they could show up at somebody else's camp. More often, they're showing up at our camp for a year or two, a couple of years. They can start coming to camp usually around age 18, and then it's usually 20 to 21-year-olds, although there are certainly a few guys who are older, but not by much because they're still, they might still be playing college. They might still be, they haven't entered the AHL. They haven't signed their entry level sometimes. So some of these players we're still seeing at development camp. One of the things that's interesting is it is a development camp. When we're seeing these players, they're learning stuff. They're being coached. One of the things you're watching is, hey, I saw this player do this. I saw a coach talk to them. Am I seeing a change? So that's part of what you're looking for over the week from these guys. Am I seeing a difference from day one to day 4?
Yeah.
Seeing the exact same mistakes for 4 days. But also knowing some of the stuff we're watching, some of the drills they're doing, some of the scrimmages, they might be working on something specific.
Yeah.
That, hey, I really want you to be more on your outside edge, or I really want you to be leaning in this way, or I really want you to head forward this way. So they might be working on a specific skill. That means you're not actually seeing them playing as they would say in a game. So that's one of the things to keep in mind, that this is hockey school. So they're being schooled.
That's really fascinating because it's all kind of coming together for me now in my head about what this really is. So my daughter is at goalie camp this week, and and she's been to hockey camp before, and it's quite literally, it's camp, right? Just like what you would imagine, like you go to camp in the summertime, right? And for whatever reason, I've always considered the use of the word camp in the NHL to mean it's not really camp. It's just warming up, right? It's warm-ups, really, right? But watching some of the videos that you and pictures that you sent me that we've been sharing on our social media, Tape to Tape MK, check that out. I'm starting to recognize some of the things that the coaching staff is having the players do as literally the things that I have watched my kid do, if not all last year in her second year of mites, but also this summer, the skating drills, even the way that they scrimmage where it's half ice, like they're playing cross ice, which if anybody's listening has a kid in mites or younger, I mean, that's cross ice. That's exactly how you do scrimmaging. And so it's really fascinating to me now to kind of look at this and think, wow, it's not just warm-up / tryouts, basically, right? Because I think that's also what I was thinking was like, oh, this is tryouts kind of thing. No, it's quite literally, let's see where you're at. Let's teach you some things. And then obviously the stakes are a little bit higher in that they're also kind of evaluating you to say, can you learn, like, where's your skill set on Monday? Can we give you advice? Can we teach you some strategies? Can we say, like, give this a try? Are you trying to pick it up? Are you putting that effort in? Are you able to pick it up? And then I would imagine those players go off, the NCAA, they go to not mites, juniors, and they watch them and see, like, are you applying the things that we've suggested, and kind of going from there. So that's really fascinating to think of it as like actual, like you said, hockey school, actual summer camp where you learn hockey skill. It's like a hockey skill summer camp, literally.
Right. So they're learning, they're developing.
Yeah.
So one of the things I think that's helpful for people to know is, how do they get here?
Mm-hmm.
What gets them up to camp? What gets them to the point of being ready to be invited to a development camp? And there's a couple different paths they can take. In Canada, you start out with minor hockey, so that, the mites, et cetera, whatever they're calling it, but it's starting with U7 programs.
Mm-hmm.
Then they move on to junior hockey. And there's actually a couple of different ways you can do that. So there's the CHL, the Canadian Hockey League, and that has what people hear of as the major juniors.
Okay.
So if you're hearing the major juniors, it is the Western Hockey League, the WHL, which is basically Western Canada, the OHL, which is the Ontario Hockey League, and that's Middle Canada and the US. Then there is the QMJHL.
Yeah,
that is
the big one.
Junior Hockey League, which is the Atlantic Canada region and the Eastern US, basically Eastern Canada and the US.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the CHL. Now that is actually semi-professional.
Mm-hmm.
So they draft into that up until August 1st of this year.
Mm-hmm.
If you were in the CHL in any of those leagues, you are not NCAA eligible because of the stipend. That changes August 1st this year. That's going to change the landscape a great deal.
Yeah, that I do know about because I am a big NCAA hockey fan. So that's been a huge thing. Expect the potential for a lot of movement this year, especially after the first semester for colleges or the first trimester if they're on that kind of system. And there could be players who come in and come out this year. It's going to be a very interesting
it's going to
experimental
be
season.
Big transition. So that's really, and this is basically kids who are eligible for that are 16 to their 19-year-old season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, again, you were not eligible for the NCAA. Now you are. NCAA, obviously another path for the Canadians, but there also are some other junior leagues. Junior A and Junior B, those are non-professional. So they're part of the Canadian Junior Hockey League. And that was like Cale Makar did that because he wanted to protect his NCAA eligibility.
Yeah.
So again, I'm going to be interested to see after August 1st how all of this plays out, because that just wasn't, there was a couple of different paths. You either chose this professional path where you were getting a stipend and couldn't do a lot of other things, or you chose the development path, which again, they're both development, but one was unpaid. Now in the US, there's minor hockey, just like in Canada, starting with sevens. Then depending on where you are in the US, you might take the route for high school or you might do AAA. Yeah. Because we do have Massachusetts, Minnesota, Wisconsin, a lot of great high school programs that can develop players. So that might be a place that you're doing it. There's also then the NTDP, that's the National Team Development Program. So that's where Austin Matthews came on.
Okay.
And their focus is on international competition. So that's when you're seeing these kids like, winning World Juniors. Well, they're coming from other teams, but it's that development team that's going out there playing a lot of those games. Then there is the USHL. So this is more similar to what you're seeing for the major juniors. They maintain their amateur status. Their focus is to prep kids for the NCAA and the NHL. And that's ages 16 to 20 that you're playing USHL.
Yeah.
So really, these are all the places that everyone's developing up through. And then we meet them this past week in development camp.
Fascinating. I love this. I appreciate this because I think probably like a lot of our listeners and, Maria, we've all heard of these different levels and leagues. I mean, Maria, you also had a kid go through youth hockey, in the United States. that takes you to about high school. And a friend of mine, her son just finished up his freshman year of high school. And it was, well, they were at kind of that point where it's, okay, do we try and make a tournament bound tier 1 team that's in this area, which kind of then can put you on that one of those developmental paths? Or do you just play for your local high school team? And that's probably going to take you to more of a recreational future, and it's just, as I was kind of telling you ladies before we started the podcast, I was listening to a completely unrelated non-hockey podcast. I swear I do listen to some of them. I have other interests, I swear. And they were actually just talking randomly all of a sudden about basketball. And they were talking about how the different levels and the skills of different levels in basketball, it's like peeling an onion. And as I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this, I'm like, that's the same thing in hockey, because first of all, you have to start out super young and you have to know to start super young, right? Like I got my kid in when she was 3 or 4. I mean, Maria, how old was your son when he started, learn to play and mini mics?
3 years old. 3 years old on skates. So,
you know what I mean? And then everybody kind of in the US, at least, they go into youth hockey, but as soon as you hit squirts, U10, 10U, you start to see them kind of shuffle out into all these different levels. And like, it's happened so fast and so quickly. And then you've got all of these different layers. Sometimes it's kind of mad
as parents. No, but as parents, those layers can be a little frightening because, you sometimes don't always know the legitimacy of those layers. And is it the right path?
Right.
Is it the right path to take? Right. Because, anyone can approach you and say, in some instances, and I've encountered this in the past where related to my son, are you just approaching because you need a body to fill this team? Because if that's the case, you can go speak to someone else, right?
Yeah.
So I think the more information now, and again, there's a lot more transparency now than there was back then, because my son is now in his, mid 30s. And so there wasn't all of this stuff on social media where you could really get a sense for, is this person in this organization legit? Because if it sounds too good to be true, it likely is too good to be true.
Literally, my friend who works for an NHL team not too long ago said to me, "What is the USHL?" Like she didn't even know what that was. I was like, "No, it's a thing. It's a thing.
It's a thing." Yeah.
And so even like, again, NCAA hockey is D1 hockey is another area that I am extremely familiar with, and even in that, you look at the different leagues within the NCAA and the skill and the talent. I mean, I think it still stands that the Hockey East is the gold standard, continues to be the gold standard for NCAA play. But, within the last 10 years, NCAA hockey has expanded tremendously, and you see Pac-10 developing and more teams coming up through there. You've got the whole upper Midwest, and they're in their own separate league. I grew up watching ECAC hockey, which has always, sadly, been a little bit less competitive. However, they have won national championships, but at the end of the day, if you've got a kid, if you have a son who gets into a hockey program at BU, at Providence, at BC, like, they're effectively a completely different level above someone who goes to Quinnipiac or, I don't even know, someplace out west, right? Like Denver. I mean, even Denver, and Denver is a good school for hockey.
Denver's great, and they win national championships, but it's different hockey.
Right. It's just different hockey. So it's just fascinating to understand all the multiple layers of that. But so
Maribeth, these player development camps are happening across the league.
And are they happening simultaneously to each other?
More or less, but there's not a requirement that they are. I think that, well, this is my personal theory, but nobody has actually confirmed this. I think that most of the teams have it right after the draft, so everybody can then take time off.
Yeah.
It's summer, if you listen to NHL, like on Sirius XM, they're all like, okay, this is our season finale. We're finished for the year. We're off to the cottage.
Yeah.
We'll check in from the cottage. Everybody's off for the next month. So.
No, and I listened to Elliot Friedman. And
Elliot, we all know he's on vacation right now.
He's on vacation. Yeah, he has said it on more than one occasion during his last podcast. And it's great, but it seems like that, there's a lot that the league is jamming in, and this is probably, a likely different conversation, but, the league is jamming all of these key events in very close to each other. We have the draft, we have the development camp, and then it coincides with free agency, where some have said that the NHL should maybe take a page out of the NFL playbook, where the NFL is always giving you a reason to talk about them no matter what time of the year it is. So now we're going to go from all of this happening to now having this pretty big gap with not a lot that's going to go on because everyone's exhausted, right? And they're taking time off. So, I'm not sure that that's great for NHL business.
There's something to be said for kind of looking at it from both perspectives, because our season has gotten longer and it's going to get 2 games longer.
It's going to get longer by 2 games. Yeah.
So we're already now, we used to play and be finished in May. We're now finishing in June.
Almost July.
This is, or almost, no, we're not allowed to finish in July.
No, that is a hard stop. Yeah, that's a hard stop.
But I think that there's something from that. So, and it used to be that they weren't conditioning. Again, hockey was very different, but like say back in the 60s, 70s, they would literally be off for the summer and then they'd show up and part of training camp was literally, let's train you back into shape.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, professional sports has changed, hockey's changed, but this is for the people who work in hockey, whether it's for the teams or for those of us who cover it. They need a break. So I think that there's something with that. But part of the reason it's all jammed is because the season started going so long.
Yeah.
Like, we have to finish. We have to move on to the next piece of it. So I'm not sure what the answer is exactly. I will tell you, though, that preseason starts the 3rd week of September. So,
well, the rookie camp starts September 10th.
Rookie camp is the 2nd week, and then
regular camp is the 17th, and then that's really and it's going to be
and that weekend is preseason,
right? And the new CBA agreement, it's not fully set in stone. I know we hear a lot about, and I know we're getting off topic, but we hear a lot about the terms and everything, but even that is likely to be even shorter and all that stuff. So it's crazy. But we at Bruins Tape to Tape know that everyone is hungry, thirsty, starving for hockey talk. So that is obviously why we are here. As a quick aside, because I completely forgot, even though we discussed this before the pod started, but I was so excited to get started talking. If you are listening to this, your regular way, you might hear some really annoying ads. My husband recently was going up to visit his mom. It's a 3-hour drive. She lives up in Vermont, and he was listening to the podcast. First of all, love the support. Also, incredibly mortified. But he said, he's like, what's with these ads? He kept getting nothing but those ambulance chasers. So in Albany, it's like Martin, Harding, and Mazzotti, call Law 1010, whatever. And he just kept getting nothing but that. I also was getting ads recently very specifically for this company called Grainger. Are you in candy manufacturing? Hire Grainger. Insane. So if those bother you and you think they're ridiculous, obviously, you can now join us in our Patreon. You don't have to pay. We appreciate the love and support. We've got some, special posts in there for all members, but we've got now paid membership available as well. So you can listen to the podcast without advertisement.
No ads, baby.
No ads. Like, they're so annoying. And we also have merch.
I would pay extra on my cable bill if I could get it with no commercials.
No kidding. No kidding. And then next time we have a pod, if you're watching this, I will have some of our new merch. I'm very excited, although one of them is a sweatshirt, and I don't know if I will be wearing it because it's so stinking hot. I'm getting a cup. Maria's going to be getting some swag. Maribeth got, I think you're getting a shirt coming to you very soon, and something else. I can't remember what you got. But we've got some really fun swag there, stickers, all that good stuff. So everybody should definitely check it out. It's in the show notes. We've got a Patreon. And we encourage everyone to join our community because Maribeth is part of our community as well. And so look at you now. You're one of our experts.
Next thing you know, you're going to be friend of pod and
friend of pod, special expert. We've got all those folks in, so we strongly encourage everyone to join in. But
it takes a village, and we have a mighty village that helps us put these shows together. So we thank you all.
It does, yes. So Maribeth, let's get back down to business because we've gotten a little distracted. It's entirely my fault.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Maria, by all means.
I want to know from you, Maribeth, any player or players in particular that stood out to you as, is it plausible to think that perhaps we might see them at a professional level? Either, the Providence Bruins, the Boston Bruins. Did anyone, seem like a diamond in the rough to you?
Who might
so this is where it's important to remember that most of these guys are developing. So they've got a few years to go here and there.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that's fun is you might remember last year, I sort of went spontaneously to development camp, and that's how I really got into this whole prospect thing.
Yeah.
But I only went for one day. This year I went all 4 days, and it made a big difference in what I was seeing because I was able to watch some of these players now in all of their skills, watching them drill, watching them take this coaching, and then watching them bring it into the scrimmages later. So that actually, I think, made a difference in my experience with what I was seeing. Now, I'll tell you right now, obviously the standout, spoiler alert, James Hagens.
Oh, I can't go. You better be, right?
So excited. Nobody is surprised, but I will tell you, he's not ready. He's not NHL ready. And it's interesting. And I keep reminding people this because people keep saying, bring him up. He's so good. Bring him up. And he is good, but he's not ready. Connor Bedard, Macklin Celebrini, they are the exception, not the rule. Kids are not drafted and then play really great NHL hockey the next season. Yeah. It just generally doesn't happen that way. Yeah. So let's just all take a beat there.
Yeah. They were also they were number 1 overall picks.
They were number 1 overall
literally.
Picks. So
right.
He was really good, but he's not ready. He is going back. He was stand out above the rest. You could tell when he was on the ice, even if you didn't, you're like, oh, who's that? It must be Hagens.
Yeah.
And you'd see the back of his shirt. That's the one thing that's weird about development camp and rookie camp. No. So until you see their back, you're not sure who you're looking at because they've got their names on the back of the sweater. But you'd be like, oh yeah, Hagens for sure. So he was absolutely the standout. But somebody reminded me, they're like, he's a standout here.
Right.
But I guess I'll rephrase my question then. Names that we should pay attention to.
Yes.
As we're reading things and focusing in on, all things hockey, names that we should pay attention to.
Yeah.
Yep. So James Hagens is obviously he's going to be at BC again this year. We've got 6 guys who are going to be at BC this year. So if you're in Boston, start going to some BC games. I'm certainly going to fit them into my busy hockey schedule.
Yes. Oh my God.
But he's another level. Now, one of the things you're going to notice about him is that he reminds me a little bit of Pasta. His movements are pretty easy and pretty casual, but they're totally effective. One of the things I think that ticks off people about Pasta is he doesn't look like he's trying, but then he's like, boop, and then it goes. And you're going to see that, I think, a little bit with Hagens. That was one of the things that I really noticed with him.
I can't wait.
Loved him. Loved everything about him. Yeah. Now, another one I loved, Will Zellers. We got a trade from Colorado.
Yes, that's right.
And every time he was on the ice, my eyes were drawn to him. I enjoyed watching him so much. He was USHL Forward of the Year, and this year he's heading to North Dakota. So totally
he's off the table. Because as a reminder to our listeners, if you're committed NCAA, you quite literally are not allowed to come to rookie camp.
Yes, we will not be
reserved.
We won't see Hagens at rookie camp because of their NCAA commitments. Right. And that's actually a lot of these players are going to be NCAA. A lot of them are just going to be at BC.
Well, I think that's wise because that could open up a Pandora's box. Part of it is too. Rookie camp is in September and their season started.
So
it isn't quite started, but they're in college.
They're at school.
They're at school.
So that's something to keep in mind. But I love Zellers.
So he's North Dakota.
North Dakota. He and Hagens were paired up together when they were doing some drills, and they were having a ball. And they were awesome to watch together, but they had so much fun. And I just keep thinking about the Sharks.
Yes.
Well, but they had so much fun together. And I thought
Yes.
You want these guys to enjoy the sport.
Like Celebrini and Smith. It sounds like maybe we got our own combo there. That's nice. So, we need some of that.
Great hockey IQ and an incredible shot. Nice. So he was a total standout for me. Another one who really stood out for me defense-wise was Ty Gallagher. Now, Ty we drafted in 2021. He was at camp last year.
Okay.
He was at BU, finished in 3 years. Then he was at Colorado College for graduate school. He just signed a 2-year year with the Providence Bruins. So we should see him up. I think he finished his graduate degree, so I think we're going to see him with Providence now.
Okay.
He is so fast. Just so freaking fast. Every single time he was on the ice, I was like, ooh, I'm watching him. So he's one that I think you really want to keep an eye on. I think this is going to be a good year for him.
So you think he'll be at rookie camp? You would expect?
Think he'll be at rookie camp this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I would expect him to be at rookie camp this year.
Yeah.
So those were probably my top 3. Also really excited about Will Moore. Now he's going to be at BC. He was drafted this year, and he was the one who came late. Because he was the one who barely made it to camp. He was traveling with Hagens.
With Hagens, yes, that's right.
The two of them were giving a pass for the first day. They're like, no, we're getting on the ice.
Yeah.
So he was on the national development team, the same way Austin Matthews came up last year. He's heading to BC this year. Plays with so much intensity.
Interesting.
If anybody listens to Low Quality Bruins fan, he mentioned something that we had talked about. I was watching him and I couldn't tell if Moore was just a whiner or if he really cared that much. He got every single time stuff didn't go his way. He was like just reading. Well, by the time
we need to see that. But we need to see that, right? Because we gave away the one guy who kind of was like that in Marchand. So we need a guy who cares that much.
It was fun to watch, but this was where, too, having 4 days of seeing that, I wouldn't have known that in one day. But it turns out he really is super intense, a huge competitor, really solid skills. Like he's a great player. He did seem really coachable, though. Like you'd watch him do something, a coach would talk to him and you'd see a change. So really like that. What I'm hoping for him is that he finds some fun, because I don't know that he had any fun this week.
Oh, jeez.
Now again, I don't think he didn't have fun. I think he was just so intense and
so focused. Yeah.
But I'm like, have some fun, friend. It's a game.
Well, that comes with age and experience. When you're the young person in the office, you feel like you got to put in all the extra hours and do all that. But by the time, you're 35, 40 years old, you're like, you don't need to try that hard.
Yeah. And that's where I'm sort of hoping he'll have a little bit more fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now another one who really struck out for me was Blenar. He was the one that nobody could find information on. His last name was Richards. Now it's Blenar, and I may or may not be saying it correctly. Turns out he was born in Vail, so of course I love that since I teach there.
Wait, is this that mystery Czech player?
Mystery, yeah. So
can you clarify the story? Because I am super confused. I don't know more about you, Maria, but what is the deal?
So he was actually born here in the States. He was born in Vail. His dad had been a ski instructor in Aspen and something. So they moved when he was young overseas. So he has been over there, but speaks well. So he was actually, that's how the connection all happened here. But he's been playing for what's essentially a major juniors in Sweden for their U20 professional team.
Okay.
So that's why people, and his last name had been Richards. He was not allowed to change it until he was 18. So he went back to I think a more traditional family name. I think maybe this part I wasn't totally clear on, but I believe his family might have changed the name when they came to the States. And so he went to something more traditional in the family, or it may have been his mother's family name.
Sure.
But that's where the name it's a family name.
Okay.
But he wasn't allowed to change it until he was 18, and he just turned 18. So that's why it got confusing to find information on him.
Okay. Got it. And so he played for the league that Pasta played in, right?
He's played for the U20 Swedish.
Okay.
And we have somebody else who's playing for them too. I forget. I'll look it up and figure it out. I have it somewhere in my notes.
So you was disappointing?
They have a U20 professional team. Again, it's a stipend team. So but he was to me, the unexpected surprise.
Oh, no good
from him, but he has a great shot, smooth skating, really good puck handling, really quick, just a great player. Obviously, I'm saying all these wonderful things about these guys. They're all still developing. So they're not NHL. He's not NHL skating. He's not NHL puck handling yet. But these are players that I'm really seeing some amazing stuff from.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm loving these. I know a lot of people are really interested in Dean Letourneau.
I was going to ask about him.
He hadn't been so much spoken about him during his tenure at BC and his lack of development there, which I don't think is all his issue.
Bad luck.
There's a couple things that have come up about him as of late. One of the things was, it turns out he broke his hand. And had surgery around Christmas. Ugh. So that kind of screwed up his season a little bit there.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing was, so he was our number 1 draft pick last year in 2024. Yeah. You might remember last year when I was talking about camp, I'm like, he didn't really stand out for me at camp except for his size.
Yeah.
Big freaking guy. But it turns out we have a ton of them now. There was a lot of, he did not stand out size-wise. We have a lot of really big guys.
All right.
Yeah, it was really interesting. But I will tell you, this year I did see more physicality from him. So I like that. One of the things, a lot of people were talking about his skating. And so I kind of wanted to go in with fresh eyes and not listen to what other people had said.
Yeah.
He's not a very strong skater.
I was going to say, do we need to bring the professor in to evaluate his skating? But I feel like if
we have some thoughts.
If you're saying he's not a spectacular skater, I can only imagine how Mo would eviscerate.
Mo would have a lot of opinions.
Right.
But I will say one of the things that's come up is, we talked about all the ways you can get up here.
Yeah.
He may have left the ECHL a little too quickly and come up to NCAA before he was quite ready. Mm-hmm. The reason that happened was somebody left BC and a space opened up for him. So he came up, but he was supposed to last year have another year in major juniors. Our equivalent of major juniors. Yeah. And so he may have come up a little too soon.
And he came to a team that was stacked and ranked,
first of all,
number 1. And so, you talk about, a big fish that, now he's a little fish in this ginormous pond. So, maybe the organization was not as savvy as they should have been with the development of this player. But the fact that you say he's not an impressive skater.
He's gotten better. There's definitely some improvement, but I did go in and really, because of what I was hearing, I thought, let me take a closer look. I'm like, and again, I like everybody, and I'm always giving the benefit of the doubt. I'm like,
you do, yeah.
We love that about you, Maribeth.
No, I appreciate that, which is why I'm like standing up and taking notice with the critique of the skating ability, which is a little bit troublesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with
Milan Lucic was not a great skater either. So let's be told,
But also being in the NCAA, I feel like there's, I don't know if the right word is like, there's some slack, there's some give in that there isn't necessarily anything wrong with you and your potential to be a good NHL player if you spend your full 4 years there. Because that's kind of like the big difference between juniors and the NCAA is that juniors, they're done. They can't play beyond 19 years of age, right? Can they go?
What's the year you turn?
You can, in the NCAA, look at Mason Lohrei, right? He didn't join up into the NHL until he was, I think his ELC was signed at 22 or 23. So there's literally nothing wrong with you as a good potential player if you play until 22/23, whatever, if you've redshirted, blah, blah, blah. I'm not worried if he's taking that NCAA path, because it sounds like last year was some bad luck. Maybe this year he'll have better opportunity. Go ahead, take the 3 years, take the 4 years, by all means, because you've got more time to develop. You're a little bit older, which is a good thing. I think people kind of forget, oh my God, if you're not this crazy, amazing player by the time you're 19, 20, 21, that you're not going to make it. But, we've talked about this a little bit on the pod in the past where it's not just about your skating development, your hockey IQ development. It's also your human brain development to be able to manage and handle and be in the pressure pot that is AHL, NHL. So I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful he has a better season at BC this year.
I know BC. And the other thing we have to keep in mind, NCAA players are also going to school.
I know. They are student athletes.
It's also a very competitive and challenging school.
Well, at BC they are. At BC they are for sure. 100%. Just because of the way they, from what you hear all around here. And, we have the BC football coach who's on the radio show here every week. And he is always speaking, that would be Bill O'Brien, about the emphasis that they put on academics and athletics. And so I'm not sure that holds true in a lot of other areas, but yes.
It may not, but for sure.
As a person who went to an NCAA Division I hockey school, I can tell you it's not always the case where they are, student first, athlete second. But I believe that.
And I don't know, they may be a 1A, B, 1A, 1B. But again, just remember, they are also in school. When you're looking at kids who are juniors, their job is hockey.
Right.
Yeah. And
they still have to maintain a GPA.
NCAA friends, their job is student athlete.
Correct. Right. The focus is back, not backwards. It's the opposite.
It may be. And again, or equal, so I think
they have to do something else in addition. The expectations are there.
You want to keep this in mind. So now I want to talk about a couple of other kids that I'm going to write. I got to write up on everybody. Yeah. We'll put that out on the Substack. I have to put it in something everybody can read, but more or less I've got it ready to go. But I want to talk about Loke Johansson.
From last year.
Yeah, we drafted him last year.
Yes.
He was playing with major juniors for the Quebec, the QMJHL, but he signed his ELC November of 2024.
Yes.
So and I know you've talked about this a little bit on the podcast, but his entry-level contract, an ELC, depending on how old you are when you sign it, it can be a 2-year contract.
Yeah.
Or it could be 3 years. Connor Bedard, because he was only 18 when he signed, his was a 3-year. So he signed
a little infographic over
they
there.
basically just burned a year.
Yes.
So he got paid, played major juniors, but because he signed his ELC, we will likely see him this year in either Providence or Maine. So Providence, our AHL, Maine being our EHCL.
Yeah.
ECHL,
yes. Yes. ECHL, yes.
Saw some really good things from him. He had a really solid camp, in my opinion.
He was at rookie camp, right?
He was at rookie camp last year because he could be because, again, and we should see him at rookie camp this year because he's not NCAA.
Right.
And because he's on his ELC,
yes,
these Providence players, these main players are the ones we're seeing at rookie camp. But he, particularly compared to last year, I'm seeing some good things from him. He seems to have improved his skills, but he's also filled out and he seems to have more control over his body. One of the consistent themes for me this week is all of these young men who have grown very quickly. They're all arms and legs, and they don't know what to do with them. I mean, Letourneau, you know, saw it last year more with Loke Johansson.
Yeah. All the more reason, again, I am such a huge proponent of NCAA pathway being the fact that you get to grow into your body. These guys are just, they don't stop growing till they're like in their early 20s. They're still growing. So you look at someone again like Connor Bedard and it's like, he's not done growing. He's 20 years old. Close. He's not done.
Yeah, just a tiny, Matt Poitras, a great example. He's just a tiny
little, his name came into my head. Yeah.
Yeah, he has phenomenal skills, but he just gets creamed because he doesn't have the bulk yet. And it's just an age thing. He'll grow into it.
Yeah.
But there's only so much you could do to build yourself up, to bulk yourself up when you're
at that age, at 19. Yeah.
So it'll come. So that brings me actually to Christian Kostadinsky. We drafted him in 2023. He's been playing with the USHL, but he's heading to BC in the fall. Another one of our BC friends.
Oh my God.
He was at camp last year, and I don't really remember much about him, but he is massive.
Really?
He is like 6'5" or bigger and about 220.
What's his position?
So he is actually defense. But he seems to be growing into himself a little bit, but he is one who he's still, I just felt like he was still figuring out how to use his body and how to control himself. There was times I just felt it was super awkward with the way he was moving. And again, I think it's him growing into himself. I think he needs to fill out a little because, again, these guys are all arms and all legs.
Baby.
I didn't know much about him coming in, even though he's been around.
Yeah.
But speaking of not strong skaters, apparently like 2-3 years ago, he could not skate.
What?
Word on the street is so apparently he's making huge strides in his skating.
Wait. Like, couldn't skate per that particular level, or like was really a genuinely terrible skater?
I believe that he was generally a terrible skater from what
Oh my God.
All what people are telling me, but I have no reason to doubt my sources.
Holy moly. Wow. So that's super impressive then. You got to be impressed by that.
Because I'm looking at him and I'm going, huh. And I'm talking to some other people at development camp. They're like, oh no. Year or two ago, they're like, he has made tremendous strides. So if you were to, now I didn't notice him last year at camp, maybe because of that. But again, I was only there for the one day.
Right.
I didn't follow him. This is a big difference. Now I've gotten to know all these guys over the 4 days in a way that I didn't over one day of scrimmaging last year. But he really is a total physical player and doesn't seem to have any quit from what I saw over the 4 days. So again, that was an interesting one. Just looking at these really big guys without a lot of control over themselves
So
yet.
a question just popped into my head, and maybe it's a crazy question, but these players are all invited in. The camp is for 4 days. Does every player stay the entirety of the duration, or are there any instances that you've been aware of or that you've encountered where, it's day 1, day 2, and obviously there have got to be assessors on the ice who say, you know what? This might not have been a good idea to invite have this individual here.
I haven't seen any evidence of that, and I haven't heard anything like that happening. It may happen, but if so, it's kept kind of lower. I've not looking at, because one of the things I do is I do look at other coverage of it and just sort of get other takes and just make sure I'm not missing something major. And I haven't been looking back at past camps. I haven't seen any evidence of that happening. And now that's not to say it doesn't, but I sort of think because it's a camp, you're not committing to anything.
Right.
You're not saying, listen, you're here for
You're
4 days.
learning. You learn, right? Okay.
Camp.
No, that makes sense.
sense.
I don't know why that thought just popped into my head.
Well, no, it's a good question, because we definitely see that during training camp, which is certainly a misnomer, I think, at this point. Kind of like you said, Maribeth, probably 40, 50 years ago, it was definitely, okay, you've had the summer off, get your body back in shape, get training again, right? But certainly today, it's a little bit of a, let's ease the returning players into the level that we expect of them. But it's also a little bit of a tryout for some of the guys who get invited to rookie camp. And then we have seen some of those players then be like, all right, we're good. You can report to Providence. Right? So that's more like tryouts than camp. But I think that's a really good question, because again, this is for me, certainly a complete reframing of what this particular week of activities is.
And it's a little bit different once we get to rookie camp. That's going to be a slightly different focus than what we're seeing today. So that's why I think, particularly for this week, you're here. We're going to give you some tips. You might just take those tips and be on your merry way, and maybe we'll never see you again. But I want to bring up, there's a couple of players that were at camp last year that now have a different role with us. So Dalton Bancroft, undrafted, he was out of Cornell, signed his ELC in April. So we're going to see, but he was at camp last year.
So he wasn't there this year.
We're going to see him in Providence.
Interesting. Okay.
He did play a couple of games with them because he signed in April. So we'll see.
Yep.
So there's one. Cole Chandler was 2024 camp. We drafted him this year. He's been with the Quebec Major Juniors, and he's expected to stay there. But I actually really liked him.
He had some good moves.
Can't really tell you one thing about him, but he just gave me a good impression. So there's 2 players right there that came to camp last year and are now on our rosters. Essentially, they're on one is signed, and one we drafted. So those are 2. I want to make sure I'm covering everybody we drafted.
Do you get the sense?
So Cooper Simpson,
the sense that you really only get like 2 invites, kind of like you really only ever get 2 invites to rookie camp, or like what's the vibes there?
That is unclear. Like, we had quite a few invitations sent out, and some of them I'm like, okay, I can see where the connection was, why you might have come here, but I don't know about your play. Yeah. And so I'm guessing that they need to be seeing something in you. Like, I'm guessing if Cole Chandler, if they didn't see something in camp last year, they wouldn't have drafted him this year.
True.
Dalton Bancroft, undrafted, but they had him at camp last year, and then they signed him at the end of Cornell season.
Right.
So I think that there is something to that.
Yeah.
I know there's certainly players that were at camp last year that aren't at camp this year. Okay. Now, I did not follow up on where are they now and what have they done.
Yeah.
But there's players that were at camp last year whose names I've not heard, and I'm not sure where they are.
Interesting.
So these
but we've got like
assessments,
Cooper Simpson we drafted this year. He was in high school and the USHL last year. So
Wow.
he's staying in juniors, but like we drafted him, but when you're trying to look him up and you're like, oh yeah, high school.
Who is this kid? Yeah. Maria, you had a question.
yeah, I was going to ask these assessments in terms of, the drafting, the signing, are these being made by the scouting staff for the Bruins?
So
Or is
our
there-
scouting staff is so what they're doing now, one of the things is, and again, I don't know how true it is or not, but we end up with a lot of locals. We had
But I think that's common with all of these.
so it's how far
particular
afield are your scouts going? How much are you doing that? There was a
Right.
lot of talk as I was looking into some of the major juniors in Canada. Like they have unbelievable scouting up there. Like they are hardcore scouting up there in Canada, but that's what they do. They live and die by the major juniors. They don't have that NCAA system up there.
No,
Now,
university.
they're going to be competing. It's going to be even different. So that's going to change things. But we had like CJ Foley was an invite. Well, kid grew up in Hanover. He went to Thayer. He's at Dartmouth right now.
Yeah.
So, there's a kid that somebody has probably seen him playing around. So when we're thinking about who we're scouting,
that's ECAC hockey.
Yeah.
It just, it begs the question for me.
Yeah.
Because we do seem to have an affinity for our local athletes here, hockey athletes. And I just wonder why, why do we seem to be making, and again, Hockey East is awesome, right? It's
chicken or egg, right?
The gold standard, as you mentioned earlier, Kay. But it just seems to me that we kind of, to some degree, put all of our eggs sometimes in the hockey basket. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a matching basket at the very least.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I think it, and now all of this happens through our scouting, all the NHL teams from their scouting.
Right.
I think that particularly with some of the East Coast teams, and I'm sure with some of the Canadian teams, there's so much local talent that they don't go that far afield. We're certainly not recruiting kids from California. And I mean, not that there's that many, but we're not getting these kids from these other markets. Now, what's interesting is like Arizona State is starting D1 hockey.
Right.
So they're starting, there's actually people transferring down there. There's people moving there and doing that. And so some of these other markets are going to start opening up. But when you look at, there's a lot of like Minnesota, Wisconsin, there's huge hockey there. But guess what? We're not scouting over there that much. We're not ending up with a bunch of Minnesota kids because they're like, oh, well, look, we could just walk down the street to Chestnut Hill.
Right.
No, but I sometimes wonder if we're just, I don't want to say being closed-minded, but are we not doing our due diligence?
Yeah.
Well,
we're not doing our due diligence.
Something to that. But we also then ended up like with Bernard. Total wild card. Nobody knew what to expect from him, kind of an unusual pick. So I do think we end up with a lot of locals. I do think we probably should expand our reach a little bit. I have to agree with you on that. But I think that is, we do have a abundance of really good hockey.
Right. Are you really missing out on that super phenomenal player if, like, at the end of the day, if you think about it, and again, this is going so deep into the weeds, but if you think about where, if you've got an NCAA player who is not coming from like Canada, and they're going the very traditional American route of they do USA hockey, youth hockey, they go to American prep school, they're either going to Shattuck, right? St. Mary's, which is in Minnesota. They then go to Minnesota, or they go to a Hockey East team. So they end up local anyways, or they are from somewhere in the United States and they go to Deerfield. They go to Exeter. They go to what's that place in the Berkshires? And then they end up in Hockey East, right? Or so, is it, I don't know if we are necessarily missing out. We could be, I'm not saying that
I
we're
guess that was
not.
my point. How do you
know?
if
Well,
we're not
here's
taking
all
the
are
opportunity
following
to
the
kind
same
of,
path.
expand your reach a
Right.
little bit?
Well, here's what I will say though. When we look at the, and I posted it on our Discord, but there is the list of the development camp roster. And actually, CJ Foley's the only kid born local.
Interesting.
So,
and we know Don loves a true local.
Yeah,
he
he's
does.
the only Massachusetts kid on here. We've got Ontario, Nova Scotia, California, New York, Minnesota, Ontario, Alaska, a couple more Ontarios, Arizona, a bunch of Swedes, New Jersey. So there are kids like born now where they were before that, because all I have is where were they this past year and where are they going?
Right.
So that part, hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting, I feel like let's be honest, there's never enough time, but that certainly would be a fantastic thread to pull on to figure out, if you look at the last, let's say 10 years worth of draft picks or, prospects, however you want to quantify it. What was the path that they took? Where did they come from? Because ultimately, it doesn't necessarily matter where they came from, where you were born. It's how do you choose to spend your time playing hockey from ages 14 to 18? Where do you go? Does it matter? Did Celebrini, what was his path necessarily versus Bedard versus and I'm just talking about, North American for the most part. Lafreniere, that's another one who was a top draft pick a number of years ago. Like, if they're choosing to go the NCAA route, what does that path look like? Are they all, for the most part, it's 6 of 1? You go to school in Boston or you go to school in Minnesota. Does it matter then? I don't know. It's curious. It's curious.
Well, if you go on some of these, like particularly the major juniors, if you go on there, they'll be like, here's our alum, here's where they went.
Mm-hmm.
So you can follow the path. I think that is a really interesting way to look at it. I do want to make sure there's one more local kid, but he's not really. He's from Sweden. But Alvin.
Very local, Maribeth, very local.
He's at UMaine. Goalie from UMaine. He was an invite. Now, I did not do much on the goalie.
Hockey East.
Exactly. And also where Swayman came from.
I know. Did you notice? I picked up on the fact that you said Alaska a few times.
Yeah. So that was.
Where's you gonna look?
Was from Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked Boya. I thought he was, now again, the goalies they literally are just standing there getting pelted.
I know.
It's terrible. The goalies.
It just seems like such a hard place for goalies to be at a development camp, right?
Stand there, let us just keep throwing pucks.
Yeah,
thanks for playing. But I will tell you, I really did like him when I saw him on there. He was on top of it. He stood out among the goalies, so that's why I wanted to make sure to bring him up.
Yeah,
I thought he was quick. I thought he tracked the puck well, and he seemed to always know where it was. So he was one. They all seem to improve over the week. But again, we know that 18, 19-year-old goalies, they've got a ways to go in their
development. They got like a decade to go before they
it's
really
a ways
get
to go.
it.
So I didn't spend a whole lot of time, but he did stand out for me that I did think he was somebody to keep an eye on. And he's at UMaine, so we can do that.
Yeah.
And he's gonna play at UMaine?
Yep.
Good.
So he was there last year and he'll be there again this year. So and he was
he's a sophomore.
I don't actually know. He's 21, so I'm not sure what year, but he was from Sweden. So I don't know what year that may, and some of these guys redshirt themselves, some of them do.
Freshman year,
stuff before they do NCAA. So I don't.
Yeah.
So
for our listeners who are not familiar with NCAA rules, redshirting is typically something that happens their first year of college, and they purposely sit out because to be an NCAA player, you can only play 4 years. That's why some of them get graduate degrees. And you're like, why does he have a graduate degree? Because that was his 4th year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird. I went to college with some of those guys. I'm like, what are you doing? What do you mean you're a graduate student? What? Yeah. But so final thoughts, Maribeth. How do you feel? Because this past year, Maria and I kind of talked, especially around the New Year time when it was, the junior.
Dismal.
Boston was the only pro team to not have representation at the World Juniors. We know that our pipeline has been absolutely just terrible, or as you just said, Maria, abysmal. How do you feel about the future for Boston? And if you could make a guess, how soon could we start to see some of those positive things that you saw this past dev camp? Let's be honest, 2 years, 3 years. What's your takeaway?
So we're definitely going to be seeing like Ty Gallagher. We're going to see him in Providence. It wouldn't surprise me to see him start to come up a little bit over the next year or two.
Yeah.
No, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I think depending on, I'm hoping that most of these players finish out their development at the NCAA or juniors level as long as they can. I don't think they're have anything to gain by rushing and jumping into the AHL and the NHL. I just don't.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, so based on that, I am guessing we're going to start seeing like Will Zellers. We're going to start seeing James Hagen. My guess is in the next 3 to 4 years. Now, again, that doesn't mean some of the players, though.
We don't love that. I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, you just saw my face, Maria's face.
I know.
Great.
Some of these players may develop a little more quickly because they're a little bit older.
True.
When we're looking at Will, Will's only 19, and James is 18. So
yeah, obviously.
A little. They are the 2 top ones from the camp for me, and they're just young. So they're probably 3 to 4 years. But again, we're going to look at these like Ty Gallagher, who's already going to be in Providence. We've got a couple of others who are like Bancroft. He's already going to be. He's got his ELC signed. So we're going to start seeing some of these guys coming up to Providence. As you know, I made it down for like Calder Cup game and loved it. Yeah. So I'm definitely invested in seeing some of these guys. We have a couple of guys that we've got a lot of them right now in the NCAA system.
Yeah.
Well, we know there's a time limit there. We know they're going to be done in 2, 3. Almost all of them have at least a year or 2 under their belt. So now we're looking at, 2, 3 years. So for our pipeline as such, I'm saying 3 to 4 years. But we're talking about a team turnover.
Yeah. That's a whole fresh team, and they're doing a rebuild now.
Some of these players are gonna be coming up and filling in. Nobody thought Mason Lowry would be full-time NHL by now.
Oh no, people always surprised. I mean, look at Patra, right? He was at Dev Camp. What was it? It was 2 years ago now. He was invited to rookie.
He was there last year. What? No, he's at rookie camp.
No, it was 2 years ago. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. And then he went to rookie camp and then just shocked everybody. So you never know what's going to happen, certainly. So listeners, if you're in the Boston area or, near any of these colleges that these players are at, we'll make sure that we post where they're playing. Go to the games, frequently they are very inexpensive, and to watch either Hockey East, or if you like to go to Harvard and see some of them, that's ECAC, but they're all really affordable to go see those games. Definitely go check these guys out.
It's a good environment for families too.
Great atmosphere. Go check them out. Tell us what you think during the season. We don't want to forget about some of these players because now we are super invested in paying attention. Let us know what you think. Maribeth, thank you so much for spending 4 days at Warrior.
Watching these kids. Yeah.
I had a ball.
I mean, I can't wait till we can do something similar. And when we do, we will have a whole podcast. We'll do a live at Warrior or something for sure. But Maribeth, you will be at rookie camp.
Be a rookie camp in September. And I'm gonna before that, I'm gonna have all this. We'll put this out on the Substack, and I also have a copy of the development camp roster, so I'll send that over as well.
Yep.
And people can sort of see the stuff that I saw. Again, definitely my take on it. So take it all with a grain of salt, or probably a lot of grains of salt. But
yeah,
it was fun. It was a fun week for sure.
That's awesome. Well, if you don't feel like clicking on the show notes, do make sure that you are subscribed to our Substack, tape2tapemk.substack.com, so you can get all of this information also in your email to remember to check it out later. And also our new feature in our Patreon, the TLDR, Too Long Didn't Read, of everything that we talked about, to get everything you need to know in basically 5 minutes or less. Find us all on our socials. And thank you again, Maribeth. I'm actually excited about these young guys because I have nothing else to look forward to right now.
They're worth being excited about, and not just as a consolation prize.
Yes, I am super excited about Hagens. I wish I lived closer to Boston to go see them, but we will be, as a little bit of a teaser, coming up for some next episodes this summer, because as I said, I know everybody is dying for hockey these days. We've got a special guest for our 100th episode, which is coming up very, very soon. We will be doing deep dives on all of the signings from the D+ rated free agency. Check out our Substack.
We went from the high of the draft to the low.
Oh my God. Yeah. So we're going to be
like, what the hell is the plan? What the hell is the plan? But again, we'll save that for our next.
Yeah. So we're going to do some deep dives on these new guys. We've talked about it. We got to do it. We got to talk about revisiting some of our big guys from last year, because some opinions have changed. So certainly make sure you are following us and subscribing everywhere so you don't miss any of these episodes, so you are fully informed come October, whatever, 7th, 8th, 10th. I'm not sure at this point, for the start of the
we'll know in next week for sure. We'll have the schedule.
Oh, that's a fact. That's a fact. So there you go. So any final thoughts, Maria?
Maribeth, thank you again for your just the amount of time, effort, and energy you put into this episode and to other episodes you've done with us. Very much appreciated. I always walk away understanding and knowing more, and have learned something. So I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Our other professor in residence.
We'll give her a doctorate.
We'll give her a doctor. Mo, sorry, you're just a professor. Dr. Maribeth, Dr. MB. But as always, thanks for listening, and go Bees.
Go Bees.